Scary Larry.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast. We're not in the gear shed,
We're not.
but this is like our makeshift studio while I get everything else sorted out. So, if you guys are here for the first time, we kind of try to do this every 2 weeks where we sit down and we just talk all things E-moto. Today, what we're going to be talking about is a ton of different things that probably applies what I would consider to at least 75% of everyone who's ever purchased an electric dirt bike. So to provide some context, Scary Larry and I come up with a nickname for everybody, and like yours is Scary Larry. I don't know why. It's probably because it rhymes. Nasty Nate, you know, it's just like how I do things. So the other day we were having a text conversation. We've been having this conversation for a couple weeks now. You've probably been having this conversation in your head now for several months, if not a year, maybe years. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the conversation was simple. It's about let's set the tone here. Give some context. Why don't you tell me what bikes you have currently,
okay,
and then we'll get into the conversation of what are the best two bikes that one person could have, because that's the dilemma that you're in, right? And that's what we were texting about in our text messages. Were like you had to like scroll to read them. They were like long as hell. So, and I think that's the position that you're in. So why don't you give us an idea of how you ride, who you are, and where you want to go in the E-moto world.
Okay. So I ride currently an E-Ride Pro 2.0 SS. I've had two of those. One with a 1619 setup, one with a 1821 setup. I ride a lot of woods enduro. I wouldn't say it's hard enduro because I really don't know what that is. It's more of an enduro GNC hair scramble type platform. I have a Stark Varg as my top big bike. I have a 2025 Beta X Pro 300RR as my gas bike. And then I have the E-Ride Pro. Where I'm trying to go, I think the situation is that I want a woods weapon. The Stark Varg I feel is a little too heavy for me. I'm looking for something that I can, pivot through the woods a little better. My riding skills, I'm not a motocross guy. I've never been on a motocross track before. I come from mountain biking and BMXing. So handbrakes, no clutch, no shifting. I don't want to do any of that. The E-moto world is kind of where I want to be. I like the ease of it. It allows me to enjoy the ride, and I can still be aggressive when I need to. I prefer to ride my E-Ride Pro over all my bikes. It'll probably go my E-Ride Pro, then my Stark, then my Beta. I only ride the Beta when I have to with the other gas guys. Otherwise, I would just ride my Stark or the E-Ride.
Do you feel that you've ever been in a position where you were with your gas buddies, right? The gas bike crowd, and have you ever ridden your Stark with those guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like, what's the mental gymnastics you had to do to getting a gas bike? Because in my opinion, like that Stark can probably go just as long. I mean, I don't know how long the rides are, I guess. I mean, maybe that plays into the equation, but I'm interested to know why you assumed that the gas bike was something that you needed to have in the garage.
I was told I needed to have it. I was told I needed to have it by everybody.
You're the best customer ever.
Yeah, I've never had a gas dirt bike before, so I got into dirt bikes late in my life, and it's like taking me by storm. So I'm like, I got to have them all. So everybody told me I need to have a gas bike. You got to have a hand clutch. You need all this stuff.
It's the worst thing I ever heard.
It's
the worst advice you could give a human being.
It is, and I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I went and bought a brand new 2025. I had already had the Stark.
So that's all right. Listen, dude, it's good. It's all good.
Like I think E-Ride, then Stark, then Beta, and that's
one of the great things about like the small platform bikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get to a point on those bikes where I think it's kind of the direction you're going now, right? You know that this bike, the E-Ride Pro, is a really great bike, but there are things that it doesn't do well, even in its current configuration, right?
Mm-hmm.
At an 1821 setup is what you have on it, right? You got a drop crown, you got EXT forks, EXT shock. Which controller do you have on it? EBMX, or did you went
took
back?
It off. I took it back.
Okay, so you went back to the stock.
Yep.
You're running stock motor, stock battery.
Yep.
And you sent me a picture. Well, real quick, did you take that whole battery apart and fix it?
And I pressed it out. I pressed the guts out of the case and everything. I did it all.
Oh, and then you just rewired it and tested the voltage on everything.
Tested the voltage.
What happened? A bad BMS?
Yep. And they're on back order, and I've
Yeah.
been down, and that is my favorite bike.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
2.0, like my kids get home from school, they want to ride in
Right,
the yard.
right.
That's the bike I get out. That's my everything
Yeah,
bike.
yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, I come home and their kids are in the backyard on the jump track, and we're out there just ripping around. I ride whatever bike I bring home that day.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but it's always a small bike. I don't take my big bikes out and just rip the yard up. It's not even fun.
It's not for my kids, not for the neighbor, not my,
No,
it's just a lot.
Yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot of bike. Okay, so then, all right. So then let's look at you. You know you love that. You have the gas bike. How many miles do you think you put on your gas bike?
It's probably got 200 miles on it.
200 miles. Okay,
Yeah.
that's still a decent amount of riding. So you've ridden it a decent amount.
Oh yeah, I ride it.
Okay,
Like my gas buddies say they want to ride, I ride it.
right.
And full disclosure, you asked me about the Stark.
Yeah.
If I've ever had issues with that.
Yeah.
It's preparation for me.
Right.
I show up with a generator. I get it set up first.
Yeah.
I get everything ready. That way, when they come back to do their drink breaks and their
Yeah.
pit stops,
Yeah.
because we ride at Wayne with them.
Yeah.
I just put my bike on the generator, and then I go hang out with them and do my drinks and
Right.
everything. While I'm topping off. I might go down to 60%, charge up to 70.
Yeah.
Ride the rest of the day down to like 30 or 40.
Right.
Top it off 10 or 15%.
Right.
I've never ran out.
Okay. So the gas bike thing was just something that you kind of fell into, not necessarily wanted it ever, but it just seemed like it made sense. Everybody said it made sense,
Yep.
so that's what we did, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so now you're at that spot where you know what you like, and I think you've been doing it. How long have you actually been riding again? Because you said, I know you have a huge BMX background, you have a mountain bike background. How long have you been on a motorcycle, like over the last however many years?
September, I bought my first e-ride.
Okay, so it's not even been a year yet.
No.
That's quick. You got bit by
Yeah.
the bug hard. You're just
Hard.
like me, brother.
Yeah, man, I went in.
Jeez, if I go, I go. This no
If you're gonna
brakes,
do
all
it.
gas.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, and I think that's a good point because it happens to everybody, right? You kind of get bit by the bug, and then you start riding a bunch, and then you realize what it is that you need or want, and don't need or don't want. And I think that's where you're at right now. So back to the conversation we were having is you want to get to a position where you have two bikes.
Yep.
Max two bikes. And I think you've made the determination, if I'm understanding correctly, that they're both going to be electric.
Mhm.
No,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
oh, yeah.
All right. So we know we're going to have two bikes. We know they're going to be electric. I would agree with you. I just listed my Stark for sale. And well, there's a reason why I listed my Stark for sale. First of all, every single time I ride that thing, I wreck it hard. I was out in Upper Peninsula and we were riding through this section of woods. We did like a 34-mile ride, and there was a section of woods. Co was on the Ultra B. I was on the Stark, and we came up. It's like a drainage, like kind of where like mountain runoff. It's not mountains up there, but hill runoff. And they kind of put a big, I want to say like it's just a hump, like a big ass hump right in the middle of the trail, and it kind of directs the water to continue to going down the hill.
Okay.
I didn't see it. He didn't see it, and he was flying. He was on the bike with the Sierra suspension. It ate it up. He still almost wrecked. Well, I'm right behind him. We were going like 30 probably. We were flying. 30 in the woods feels like 90 on the street. You're just like the trees are going past you so fast. So I hit this thing and just boom, and then my suspension just unloads and shoom, launches me. And I go and I toss the bike and I land like my feet, my hands, my shoulder, and then I bang my head off the ground. And I got up and I'm like, like that initial reaction of like, all right, what's broke? Because
Checking.
like I got a long way to go to get out of here. Like I need to know where I'm at. I need to assess. Lo and behold, it was like I was fine. Like my shoulder hurts a little bit, but I'm good. I hit my head super hard. The helmet, literally, it would have been a bad day had I not had a helmet on.
Good job.
But so it's like I start like now it's like, dude, like I can ride my Ultra B 150 miles and sure I fall off of it, but like I don't wreck. I don't know maybe it's just like I don't know what it is about the bike. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I listed mine, right? It's like, okay, I have two Ultra Bs and I have all the little toy bikes that I could want. Like, what do I need this big bike for? I love it on the track. That's the one thing. It's going to suck having to ride an Ultra B again on the track just because it is not as planted. It is not as powerful. And you having a little bit of extra oomph, like guys like our age ride 450s just so they don't have to try as hard.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the Stark is. Like you don't have to try as hard. It's got a lot more power and you can just kind of get up over things. So now you're in the spot, right? You need to, you want to figure out what the next step for you is. And I know we've had that conversation. So why don't you give us that thought process now of like where you think you are.
So with my current 2.0, it does have the full suspension. And in my mindset, I can take my 2.0 and give it to my 9-year-old son with a 17, 14 wheel set and let him ride that. I can take my suspension off of that and transfer it to a new bike. Where I'm at with it is I want an ultimate woods weapon, and I think that needs to be an Ultra B. But I also want a small bike that's an ultimate woods weapon, because there's a lot of times when I would rather ride my small bike than my big bike being my Stark. So I'm nervous to go full in on an Ultra B and still want the smaller moto to kind of whip around the house and race it when I want to, local stuff. So I think the end result is I'm going to end up with those two bikes, is an SR or something with a big battery that I can do some racing with. I don't want to upgrade the battery right away or the controller. That's $5,000 to do brakes, controller, and a battery. It's a whole new bike. And I do have a kid that needs a bike, so like that kind of makes it an easy decision to kind of transfer my good suspension and everything over to a better controller platform bike that I might be able to race a little bit.
Well, I think so. You came by the shop the other day and you got on the SR for the first time.
Yeah.
What are your initial reaction or your initial thoughts?
So watching all the hype about it, all the YouTube videos, I initially thought that it was just going to be like my 15 kilowatt 2.0 with a controller. I had no idea what it was. Speechless. It actually, I would say it's almost more violent than my Stark, but that's because it's smaller. The Stark's weight kind of helps it when you get onto it. It doesn't get as out of shape.
Yeah.
As the little bike does with that much power.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I wanted, was that much power, and I don't know if I need it.
Yeah, and
That's,
I like when you were mentioning, for me, it's like, in my opinion, the problem is frame size. I don't. That's not the problem, but that's the conundrum.
Yep.
Is I would honestly, if frame size didn't matter, I would rather have the SR, simply because that bike is more powerful than the Ultra B. So if it's a power situation, right, that we're kind of walking through, like we want to have the most power and the frame size doesn't necessarily matter, you're getting a ton of power. And the nice part is that bike is controllable through the app.
Yeah.
So you can tune that. Like when somebody comes to the shop to ride to ride a bike now, because one guy bought a bike and then like ripped it around the parking lot and looped out and smashed his head. He's bleeding. He comes back bleeding, bro. I'm like, oh, that's it. So that was it. He ruined it for everybody. It was just a little wet. And, I think people, the most common thing I get from people is that it's like, well, what's your experience level? And they're like, oh, when I was a kid, and I say the same stuff, right? Like when I was a kid, that's all I did was ride my, motorcycles. But now, like, I'm like, oh, really? Because you get on it and you just see them shake.
Yeah, like easy, Ricky Carmichael.
Yeah, calm down, bro. But anyways, like the SR it's a freaking monster. It is a monster of a bike. It is completely wild and moderately uncontrollable. Now, you can tune it down, and you can kind of control it with the app. I put a smaller sprocket on one of them just to kind of like even it out a little bit more, just to make it a little bit less violent, especially when people get on it for the first time, because it comes with a 58 and I put a 54 on it.
Okay.
So that definitely helps. But like it's a big frame power bike in a small frame. So it's almost like at that point, if you're comfortable on that bike, and now you can get EXTs for that bike. We got a set of EXTs coming in for the 3.0 because they changed the bracketry for the calipers. So now you can do it. So you put and hate to drop the bomb, but Cirrus Suspension is about to have their forks coming out for those small frame bikes. So now we're talking, you have a small frame bike like the SR that is a complete speed machine. It's light, it's nimble, it's easy to turn, it's easy to stay on top of, right? And does that cancel out the thought of an Ultra B?
If it goes the distance.
That's
the thing. $1 million question is distance.
That's a great question. And I don't know what that is. And I have not, we have them in the shop. Like, I just don't have much interest in it. I don't have much interest in it. It's just such it's a lot of bike for such a small frame that I would just take the 3.0. And that's the conversation. That's what I was telling you, dude. The two, in my personal opinion, if we talk about, if I can only have 2 bikes, period, and I have to like pick them today, and it doesn't matter what's coming out, none of that. I'm going Sur-Ron Ultra B, and I am going E-Ride 3.0. I think the 3.0 is the most well-balanced bike E-Ride has ever made. It has suspension components comparable to the E-Ride SR. It has, for me, I hated those Shinko style tires for a long time, and I don't know why. I think I was just being ignorant to it, and I didn't want to ride them. But now, like that bike, that E-Ride, back on my little jump track, dude, I freaking rip that thing, and I love it on hard pack, and then I can go hit the street if I want. If I want to go on a street ride, I'm not ruining my knobbies. I don't have to change my wheels. So for me, if I'm picking 2 bikes, the 2 best bikes on the market, period, are going to be the Sur-Ron Ultra B, but you got to have the 2025, or you got to put a little bit of money into the controller to get that power back, or to get the power up to kind of match the 2025, and then the 3.0, dude. Because if I take an E-Ride 3.0, there's only one company I think right now that makes wheels for either the SR or the 3.0, and that is Milk Racing, I believe. I think they're out of the UK. So you can't get wheels yet, which is fine. I don't really care. But you have, if I want to go, I set the bike up how I always set my bikes up: drop brackets, foot pegs, bar riser, new bars, gut seat cover, grips that I prefer. Okay, that's it. Then I go get a controller, eBMX or Ventus, whatever. Put that bad boy on there. That thing is completely tunable. It's the same exact price with the controller almost. It's a couple $100 more with the controller, right? Than that a SR is, and you're pushing 20 kilowatts. And now you have a 20 kilowatt bike that has hard pack, not mud tires. You can ride that bike pretty much in the street, wherever. You're not going to ruin your knobbies. You don't have to change tires. And you have 20 kilowatts power. For me, that is 20 kilowatts. And that bike, then you throw EXTs on it. And now listen, like this is one of those dream builds. We're talking like by the end of it, that bike is freaking 10 grand, 12 grand, whatever. I think that's just how this goes anyways. It doesn't even matter. But the point is, like, that's my choice. My choice is those. But I would raise an argument other than range. I would raise the argument that you could have an SR and a 3.0 and be completely content.
Yes, absolutely.
Minus the range question. I don't know what that looks like.
And that's what I looked at some of the races that we had talked about doing.
Yeah.
One of the formats was a 50 mile.
Where? Which one?
They had an E-moto class. It wasn't Michigan.
The Sprint Enduro spot, that was Michigan. Are you going to come down this weekend and race that hard enduro? Do you want to hear about this real quick while you're looking?
Yeah, Fox Valley.
Fox Valley. It's 50 miles?
50 miles. Yeah.
Even for the electric class, there's no way.
The other ones were 80 or 90 miles, I think.
I'm going to text that guy that I was talking about, that I was talking to on Instagram, because he races an Ultra B, and there's no way they're 50 miles. There's no freaking way. His bike wouldn't last.
50 minutes.
Yes.
50 minutes.
Okay, thank you. That's right. They're a 50 minutes straight. Yeah, yes, however many laps you can do. Yes.
50 minutes straight. And that's what I was like, we might, if I could do that on a small bike, all day.
Yeah, and I think you could. And it's almost worth the end of July, if you can come. Yeah. The end of July, we're going to go out to that race, and we're going to race it. I'm willing to bring an SR.
I think,
and
honestly,
I'm
going to build one. Like, quick.
Here we go. Yeah. Down the rabbit hole.
I crunched the numbers.
All right, hold on. Listen. Listen, I'm not going to use the F word, but when the mother says that, he's trying to come, he's scheming something.
So
did you crunch the numbers for you or your wife?
For me. I crunched the numbers that I would feel that.
Well, walk me through that. What are the numbers? Yeah.
So I'll pull it up.
Because I'd be interested to know where you would take this bike.
I did this 2 different ways, actually.
Okay.
Because I thought it out. We are coming at this as a racing, like, woods situation for me. So I even priced it out if I was to build an older Ultra B, because Nate, his stance was that he may not go to a 2025.
Yeah, he's not.
He was okay.
He was literally, I was on the FaceTime with him yesterday as we were setting all this stuff up. And he was like, because he's selling his van. He was like, man, when I sell my van, I'm getting serious. I said, oh, okay.
So
He was like, I thought you said you didn't need it. He was like, I don't need it. He was like, dude, but riding your bike is so plush. He was like, it's just more comfortable. It's not that I can't do it. I've done all the hard stuff. And I'm like, I get it, dude. He was like, so when I sell my van, that's what I want.
Yeah. I kind of went off what he said. And I did it if I built an SR, moving my parts over to it.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I don't have is drop pigs. I think drop pigs are going to be a big thing that I want to run.
$189.
Yep.
Roughly something like that.
So if I was to build an SR, I'm probably looking at about $11,700.
Okay.
That's buying the bike for $6,500. That's if I didn't already have the parts to swap over my EXT stuff.
Okay, but I don't know if the brackets will fit. Or no, it's an adapter. They'll fit.
It's an adapter.
Yeah. You're good. You're good.
Yeah. So I'm like, when I'm going into this, so the Ultra B, the SR was 11.7. The 2024 Ultra B was 14.7. And
Pete's,
the 2025 Ultra B, if I didn't do suspension, or a power upgrade,
right,
was 11.9.
11.9.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that 11.9 get you?
So I did.
This is 2025 Ultra B. Your build would come out to 11.9. How do you get there?
3,300 suspension.
Yep.
And these are the ifs.
Yeah.
3,300 for the suspension for Cirrus. 3,600 for a battery. 1,821. I put $1,000 because wheels and tires.
Yep.
I would go KKE.
Yeah,
you convinced me. There's nothing.
I mean,
there's no reason not to.
I know some people like blow their wheels out, but like KKE for the money, dude. I'm telling you right now.
I'm not him.
Like I'm not doing. If I do it, it's by accident, or it's like it, or I like the bike fell off the trailer or something.
Yeah. I don't even know if I go fast enough to hurt it.
No, I'm slow as molasses out there.
So yeah, like the 3,600 and the 3,300 for the battery and the suspension. That can wait.
Yeah. Well, and
on
I
the
think
25.
so. Like that the battery thing, man. Like I think that is such a big deal, and I don't know if they make bigger batteries for the SR yet, or if you would just have to get a second battery to swap for the SR. But like we rode 34 miles on the Ultra B, the 2024. Obviously the power's a little bit less. That's why I mentioned that. Same setup as the 25 with that 80 amp hour battery, bro. And we did 34 miles, which is way more than I could get in the past. I was usually getting around 25, 27. I was really pushing it. And I had 27% when I got back to the house up in the Upper Peninsula. So when we got back, and I think this is the part that's important. Rode that bike 75% of the time, and he is way faster than me, and he is way harder on the throttle than me, dude. So if he got 34 miles out of it, the only difference is he might be a little bit harder on the throttle, but he also weighs, at this point, the kid's like almost 150 pounds, so he only weighs like 25 pounds less than me. But that weight adds up, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, 34 miles, 27% battery left. So that tells me, the battery starts dogging around 10%. We probably could have got 40 miles out of it. 40 miles, like the last 3 or 4 would have been like just get home miles, But I mean, 40 miles, dude, that's crushing.
Could we gear one for better range?
Yeah.
Could we do all the stuff we need to do better range to help get this a little closer?
Yeah, probably. I think you could get, if you take the sprocket size down, you're going to, I'm pretty sure I'm shooting from the hip here, but you're going to reduce your torque. So you're going to increase your top speed, but you're going to level that curve out. So I think you would ultimately use less battery over time. Now, how that equates over 40 miles, I don't know. Maybe you get another mile, maybe you get another 3. That's kind of something I don't know. Yeah. But like with the SR, taking that thing down from a 58 to a 54, it just smoothed it out. Like you're going to get a little bit more top speed out of that. You're probably going to get some better range out of that. And I think that's important.
Yeah. Honestly, with me coming with suspension and everything,
yeah,
the most important thing is range.
Yeah. Yes.
The power is what we're after, but the range. And that's why I'm like, will the SR with the better battery than the 3.0 go a little further?
I'm sure.
Well, I mean, they're the same size battery, but one's got better, I believe, better cells.
Does it?
supposed to be different batteries, different part
Who
numbers.
knows, bro? You can't. You know what I mean?
They sold it to me.
Yeah, and it might be true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should know, but I don't.
Because I think they were saying the 3.0 battery won't handle the 28, 25 kilowatt.
Oh, that makes sense. The BMS, yeah. So it has
Yeah.
to be a different battery. So I'm sure it's improved cells.
Yeah.
What are they both? 50 amp hour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
both the same watt hour. And
so I think 50 amp hours. If you could pack another 10 or 15 amp hours into a pack, do they sell upgrade batteries for those? Do they sell bigger batteries for the SR?
we would just go to an 81 volt E-watt.
Oh, you would just go up to 81 volts? Okay.
If I'm going to do it, I don't want a real tall battery.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to add too much weight and make
How
it
many
top
amp
heavy.
hours is that?
We just had one. I forget.
Really?
There's one over in my buddy down the street had an E-watt
Really?
81, and it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, we rode it like a normal bike, no issues. The lid was the battery was just a little different, but
They just sent you a new lid?
Mhm.
Okay.
it came
Yeah.
with a new lid and everything. It was
So it was good.
yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's like if I ever needed to buy a battery,
Yeah.
I would go that route.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even worry about going with the chai or anything like that. I would just buy the 81 volt E-watt and kind of get the most I could.
So your Ultra B then is what you said? What did you say the price was? 13 something?
Yes.
Okay.
It was so one of them was 14.7.
Okay.
That's the 24 with the
Yeah, yeah.
suspension and
Yep.
the battery.
Well, then let's talk about like the 25. Like, I don't even know if you would need to go that route, right?
That's where
Yeah, like-
that was $7,000 off in difference of the build of
Yeah.
the 25 versus the 24 when
Yeah.
I built it.
Yeah, I think honestly, like the suspension on the 25 is a lot better, and I feel like it's stiffer.
Mhm.
It's kind of hard for me to say though because coming from Cirrus, it's really plush, so like everything feels stiff to me.
Mhm.
But I think I just feel like the suspension components. When Nate got on the 2025 after riding his 24, he was like, "Oh man, the suspension's way better. Like it just feels softer." Now it's also not broken that well yet, so there could be a lot of factors. And every time you get on a new bike, it's like the best thing you've ever ridden.
Yeah.
Like that's just the curse, right?
Mhm.
So maybe it's not as good. Now the SR build, did we go over that yet? I want to know what you were going to put into that SR that got it to that price.
The EXT suspension was $3,000.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yep.
Warp 9 handlebars. I usually run all Warp 9 stuff.
Yeah.
It's what I
think it's at this point it's industry standard.
in my opinion, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Bars, pegs, drop count, EXT. The bike would be pretty well stocked. Frame, battery, powertrain.
Yeah.
I would just run it with a full suspension and all the ergonomics fixed
Right.
that we need.
Well, you said something about an 81 volt battery. So with that 81 volt, do you know how many amp hours that was, or was it just more efficient at 81 volts versus 72 volts, so you could have the same size battery and continue the range?
It was more watt hour.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it was bigger.
Cool.
Because
cool.
we would do rides in our local town of Lancaster.
Yeah.
And we would check voltage and he would just be like
Way above.
20% more.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
And we're just talking bike path riding
Yeah,
and ripping
yeah.
and doing wheelies and stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was still enough that like you could tell a difference.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It made me a believer with all the stuff going on with my battery.
Yeah.
I've been so close to just buying one, but it took him like 2 or 3 weeks. to
Oh
get
yeah,
it.
it takes forever. And every time that you put it off for a week and you revisit the idea, you're like, "Damn it! I should have just ordered it a week ago."
That's why I Frankensteined my battery because I
Dude,
was
that
like,
is
I couldn't take it.
crazy. I wish I could put a picture on the screen. I might be able to.
Yeah.
Nate, I'm going to send you one if you can put it on the screen. Please do, because this thing is completely ripped apart. You took the whole case apart and everything. So what was the issue? What did the issue ultimately be? The BMS was just bad. So
Yeah, it
what did you
wouldn't
have to
power.
do?
I had to we unsoldered all the connections from the BMS, pulled the factory BMS at the length of the battery.
Yeah.
And it's on the side. So
Oh, geez. So it's that
not-
big. So it's like a big rectangle.
yeah, it's exactly what it is.
Wow.
And it's soldered flat on the side. So when we pull this thing out, we pull the battery out of the case, I used a shop press and pressed it out. Like everything they said don't do, I was ready to ride my bike. I couldn't be without my E-ride.
Yeah, so
I
at
have
this
my-
point, it didn't even matter because you got a new one coming. Just when it's going to get there, you don't
Yep.
know. Okay.
Yeah, so we pressed it out. I unsoldered the BMS off of it, and I left it there like that because I was like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah.
Let me just keep bothering E-ride and see where my
Yeah,
battery's
yeah.
at. So then I like waited a couple weeks, and then I was like, gotta hurt my butt. I ordered a BMS from Amazon, Saran wrap, like everything
Yeah.
that you would need to build a battery. Because I watched so many YouTube videos
Yeah.
about it. I'm like, I can do this.
Dude.
And it was easy because I didn't have to build the battery. All I had to do was solder on the leads for the BMS.
Yeah.
Figure out where to put the thing.
Right.
That's the hard part.
So did you get the same, like, was it the same shape The one that you got?
No.
It was?
It was
Of course
absolutely not. It was horrible. It was a nightmare. That was the absolute worst thing because I wanted to keep my factory case.
Yeah.
So it slides in there. I didn't want to take my breaker off yet.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do anything I didn't have to. So what I ended up doing was I put the BMS on top of the battery under the cover.
Yeah.
And I just ran the bolts out a little bit and I got it to go as tight as I could together.
Right.
And then I shoe glued it, like hot glued it.
Oh my
the gap
God.
because it wouldn't go together anymore
Yeah.
because the BMS is in there. So I got it close and then I hot glue gunned it and I've been riding it, like ripping it. We were going to ride. I was bringing it to ride the woods this weekend. It's such a, I am faster.
Bro.
Hands down faster.
Dude, for sure. It's because there's less. So that's something. Code just got a 250 and he was riding his 250 and then like he'll go ride his 250 for 10 laps, then he'll come back in on his 125 and he's ripping around. You ride the bike because you're less intimidated by it because you're used to riding a bigger bike, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we ride our Stark, like that's about as big and bad as it gets.
Yeah.
And then we go hop on an E-ride, we're like, dude, we're throwing this thing around, we're doing jumping, we're doing all the things that like we probably wouldn't do on the Stark because like it's a bit intimidating, you know what I mean? And I think that's why it makes a great point. Like you probably are faster. Literally, you're going to be faster on a smaller frame bike because you're going to be less intimidated by the power. And like, I'm sorry, I don't care how tall you are. We're not. I mean, we're pretty much in the same height. You fall off a Stark, bro. It's a long way down. Like that day in the woods,
That's what I was like.
dude. I mean, I felt bad there after a while, dude. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Every time you fell down, you had to pick that behemoth up. And I know, like, I think we only did like 20 miles that day, but at the end of it, I was like, that thing is heavy. And I know I feel you.
Yeah, it's the problem. It's such a good weapon. That bike is so good, but it's top heavy. I'm just not the rider for that bike.
Yeah, and maybe at some point, like skills develop, right? And like, and you get to the point where you're comfortable on that bike. Same with me. I don't want to sell it. And I listed it just to kind of see like what's out there. And maybe I will, maybe I won't. But if like Cohen came over today and he's like, hey man, you want to go to the track tonight? I'm taking the Stark. Like it's just a better bike on the track, right? And that's what it's for. I would never get an EX. And like I am a believer in Stark. I think it's like the most beautiful machine that's ever been produced, But at the end of the day, when you're ripping that thing and you're dropping it and you're picking it back up, like people are going to say, well, just don't fall. That's true. Oh, yeah. Good point. Don't fall. However, have you seen the woods? Like, and I think honestly, like this is something to be said about anybody who rides in at this point, a literal rainforest because it's been nothing but rain here in Ohio. Yeah. So if you ride in these types of conditions, like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that guys that come from riding woods with mud and roots and rock and moss are generally better riders than guys that ride like the Arizona stuff, because I've ridden both of them frequently. And the Arizona stuff is hard to ride because it's like steep and off camber and the rocks are big, but you never, other than like when you have hit some sand and you hit some loose rock, you never really have just like a complete tire spin situation. Or like you lock up the brakes and the front end just goes on you because like you're coming down, like it's just a different style of riding out here that requires more physical effort from the rider where it's not as, I don't know, maybe I'm just making shit up. I don't know, but that's how I feel. So whatever, it is what it is.
You said it when we first rode in Logan, like, hey, I hadn't ridden mud in a while. And I'm like, that's all I knew.
Yeah.
I've been riding in the snow.
Yeah.
So I had no idea.
Dude,
I didn't think about it like that. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, well, it's just different. Like, and then I went out to Stoke Run and I rode, it was just me that day. And what's super cool about that place is that you can ride. So they have like, it's basically what do they call like a mixed, I forget, like MXGP or something, like it's got a track section and a trail section.
GNCC?
I think that's like mostly woods. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the point is they have a track and then they have like a whole woods loop. So I would run a lot, like, you start where you start and then you do your lap around the track and then you bang off the track and you hit the woods and you got like a 3 or 4 mile, probably 3 mile woods section and you're up and you're down and then you shoot back across like the road over into this flat and you take that into the track again. So like your loops, like you're being able to ride like track and trail, like all in one all in one at one time. It's
Oh,
so sick. But it's just being out there in the mud, dude. Like you're slipping, you're sliding. Like if your tire pressure isn't good, you're going like it's a dangerous game out there in the woods. And I get somebody was telling me the other day, like it was the guy who edits all the YouTube videos and stuff and films them, Josh. He was saying like, you guys in the woods, like give me a track or give me like the desert. He was like, the woods are dangerous.
Dangerous.
But like that's just what we ride.
We don't know any different. I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're just used to riding in really slop ass conditions with a bunch of dangerous things around you that don't move when you hit them.
And they fall down, so we cut them at weird angles because we can't move them.
Yeah.
So we just cut them.
So then you're like riding one that's like head height, right past your face.
I got a question for you.
Hit me.
Unpopular opinion of mine.
Oh no, we're gonna piss people off.
I don't want to, but I'm gonna ask this question. How you feel about it?
I'll answer you honestly.
Stark Varg.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be better with a better suspension package, more for woods versus motocross?
Dude, I asked myself that too. If you like the EX versus the MX,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't give an honest answer because I haven't ridden them both. Okay. I would assume that any track focused bike is going to have stiffer suspension. It has to in order to take the hits coming down from jumps, going through whoops, doubles, tabletops, step downs, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something the woods has. So you are able to run your suspension in a much softer setting. And therefore you're deeper in the stroke the entire time. Like on an MX bike, you're barely touching the stroke until your big hits happen. Where you're riding in the woods, like you're deeper in that stroke the entire time. So it just feels better. It feels more plush. It feels more planted. So maybe, yeah, it could be. But is it? I don't know if it's worth $12,000 to find out.
Well, I got a buddy with the EX.
Really?
Before he got the EX, he had forks and a shock waiting for it. So he was trying to sell me the suspension off of it.
Right.
Fairly cheap.
Right.
My Stark with my weight, they told me to get the heavy one.
Okay.
The heavy suspension. My Beta and my Stark are completely different in suspension packages.
How do you feel on your Beta versus your Stark in terms of like the way that it rides? Do you feel like the Beta is a better performing bike in the woods, just period? Well, I mean, it would make sense that it is, but
if they put the Beta suspension on the Stark's untouchable.
Really?
We won't have the issues we have.
Yeah.
Because of like bouncing it off of logs and stuff. It's so stiff.
Yeah.
That the feedback.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it just shoots out from under us.
For sure.
So I think if we got a better, softer suspension package, more for enduro or like what we do.
Yeah.
It could be a game changer.
Well, I think so the first time I got hurt on the Stark was training out in Arizona with Cohen and his trainer. And we were just training in like the sand section and sand rollers, right? So like I'm going through these sand rollers and then I swap and I go off the bike and then the bike lands on my ankle. So, but the reason I was going through the rollers, but that suspension like unloaded me, right? And it's the same thing that happened the other day because Cohen, yes, he's a better rider. So maybe his instincts, that's what he said. He pulled back. He said, dude, it was my instincts. I'm like, probably. But I know Cirrus, and it probably just sucked that stuff up, and it didn't unload him so much. Like, there's not so much rebound in it, right? But when I hit it, like, I just hit it, and once that suspension compressed and unloaded, it sent me. Yeah. And I think that's a good point. Like, I think maybe if there's a guy down in Logan, Bonsai Suspension. Yep. Yeah, that's who does all Cohen's race bikes. And he could definitely put in a different spring, and he could definitely put in new oil. I blew my oh my gosh, what is the
work seal?
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah.
It's leaking.
Yeah, my right one's leaking.
Same.
And right after that wreck is when it happened, I think.
After Logan,
yeah,
I noticed it was
really
leaking. Yeah,
I was just keep going. I don't even care. It's too late. Like, what can I do? But yeah, I think you put like a different suspension on that. But then that takes us back, right? So, this whole point of this conversation is like, all right, we're trying to figure out what two bikes make the most sense for the way that you ride. And most people have had this conversation. I got off a phone. I had a call the other day. A guy called, randomly to the line, and I just was talking to him. And he was asking about the Ultra Bs, asking about the Stark. Like, he was just like general questions, right? So I was just like giving him my opinion, and he's doing the same mental gymnastics that we're trying to do, and everybody goes through this because depending, like, if you're just a commuter, like you're commuting on your bike, and like maybe you just ride like, I feel like there's two types of riders. Like there's street riders who commute and ride street and do wheelies.
Yep.
And then there's people that ride dirt and like do wheelies, but like most dirt focused.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the street guys can usually get away with one bike, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like they do the same thing.
3.0.
Yeah. The 3.0 is like perfect. But then you got the dirt guys. Like, how do we haven't even put into the conversation the Alta Sigma. I've never even ridden one. I've never even seen one with my own eyes.
Same.
So I don't even know. I'm sure the bike is freaking fantastic, but is that a good comparison to the SR? Or are we just like e-ride fanboys where we're like just not really willing to like step off that platform?
I will step off of it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I guess I would too if it was an opportunity.
It just needed to make sense to me to step away from it. And there wasn't a bike out yet that, I got the start. So it made sense. I got it.
Yeah.
The Ultra B makes sense. Now I'm like thinking about it.
Right.
But I have something I feel like might compete with it.
Yeah.
I would go to a different E-moto. I've looked at the Ventus. I even looked at the new...
The Ventus, dude, is a good bike. It's just this frame is so tiny, bro. I'm telling you. I don't think people get how small that bike is. Have you ever seen one?
Not in person.
And probably we've had this conversation.
Yeah,
before.
we have. Yeah.
It's just so crazy. Like, it is a tiny little bike, man. It's like E-Ride Pro S size. That's how it feels.
And a Sur-on, they're tiny. They're
Tiny.
so small compared to our E-Rides. They're like, when I'm talking about getting my 9-year-old bike, I'm like, I got to shrink my E-Ride for them.
Yeah. Put some different wheels on that beam. Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. Like,
just the battery and the range is like, that's why the Arctic Leopard, I keep questioning you about that because,
oh, God.
If I could get one of those with suspension on it and it has the range and the drivetrain that lasts.
Dude, I think it will last. I just don't know how much I trust it.
Yeah.
Like, we were only able to get 3 and we sold all 3. Every single one had an issue.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it is not catastrophic, but from the perspective of somebody who deals electric dirt bikes, when a customer has a problem, that's annoying because I have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have to figure out what's going on. I have to send the text messages. I got to send the emails. I got to talk to people. 3 for 3. So it's like, and now granted, one was like throwing an error code, like things happen. Bad BMSs happen, like all of that stuff. But like every single one, like, dude, like, I don't love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
That. I could have just got, it's not like a knock on Arctic Leopard whatsoever, because you know what may be the bike that I have got to get my hands on? The EX800 Arctic Leopard. It's like, I think it's like a 70 amp hour battery out of the box.
Yeah.
Has the same style throttle that the Arctic Leopard XE Pro S has. So it's like braking perfect. And it's like Ultra B size. And I guess like it is supposed to be unbelievable. And now I've been like going down the rabbit hole. I can't get my hands on one. Like, they don't have them here right now. So I can't like get one, but that would be one that would be interesting to see.
It.
You did?
Yeah.
Not feeling it?
No. Because I felt like those bikes, what I have seen, they were really good at range.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, they made decent power and whatnot, but I don't know as far as like the total package of the bike.
Yeah.
That's everything. They may have good,
Yeah,
good
do they have good
batteries,
everything?
good range, but
yeah, I don't know.
like, you're talking, are they problematic?
Well,
your normal guy isn't going to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a total package, right? Like, there's a lot that goes into. There's a lot that. Okay, so this is I was on a podcast, the one I talked about making like the perfect E-moto. What's the perfect E-moto? Well, I went down a rabbit hole, dude. I got cracked out, and I started thinking about like how I'm starting an E-moto company. Like, I thought, and I got all wound up about it, and then I talked to some people, and it calmed me back down. However, the point being is that, like, it's hard to do it all right. These Chinese brands have done pretty damn well at what they're doing, because even at the end of the day, your $6,500 SR, which is going to need additional stuff.
Yeah.
Name a gas bike that you're going to get for $6,500 that can keep up with the SR. That's brand new, 2025. I don't think it happens, right? I don't know if it's there. Like, I don't know if it exists. Sidebar, this is a squirrel moment. I was at Iron Pony this week because I had to drop off some tires because we still don't have our tire machine. And obviously, you know what happens when you go in there. There is a Can-Am dual sport electric. How much do you think it costs?
Well, if a OEM got their hands on it, it's got to be. I would say it's 70% more than a normal.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah, because they're gonna OEM
Before tax, 15 grand.
Who's buying it?
Why? Why is it here? Why is it even sitting here? Like, listen, I've been thinking about that, like dual sport lately. Only because I don't want something that I want to take like on like the trails that I'm not going to take a dual sport where we're riding, right? But I also think there's like some freedom in having a dual sport and being able, something that's like not like a big heavy 500-pound dual sport, like something that's like relatively 350, you know, that's still pretty freaking heavy if you drop it, but something just to like go and like whatever, I don't know. But I've been thinking about it lately and I saw that and I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. And I was like, wait a minute, $15,000 for a Can-Am electric dual sport bike? No freaking way. No way. And you can't compete with the Chinese prices.
No,
everybody knows that.
Labor. Yeah.
But like their quality is pretty damn good, dude. And I know I'm an E-Ride fanboy, and I think it's like we sell a ton of them, but beyond that, that bike is stout. That bike's warranty is real.
Mm-hmm.
Like
It's a real warranty.
they genuinely will replace your parts. If you buy it directly from E-Ride, did you buy yours directly from E-Ride?
I bought it from Rev Rides.
Yeah, so you're
which is kind of goofy to deal with.
Yeah,
too,
well,
with the
they're just too
side.
big, dude. They're just too damn big.
I just call Patrick.
Yeah,
from Rev Rides. Like
dude.
When I was having issues, if something didn't show up or something, I would text him, and I had an issue with a warranty.
Yeah,
and they were kind of like slow playing me on it.
Yeah.
And they didn't get what I was saying.
Yeah.
So when I hit Patrick, like, hey man, like remember I got the bike, I text you like the screen didn't work.
Right.
Well, I could snip the wire and create the connection and make it work, butt
Right.
connector it, and I got it to work.
Yeah.
And he said, go ahead, we'll get you a harness, whatever. Well, then when it come time to get me a harness,
Right.
they were like, well, was it like this? How did this happen?
Yeah. Well, because E-Ride wants pictures and stuff, dude, or a video of
They
everything.
wanted a picture of the VIN, and
Yeah.
I was like, well, if I show you the problem, you're not going to see the screen because the screen doesn't work.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know what y'all want me to do. I can put the butt connector back on. You can see the screen,
Right.
but it's not showing you the problem.
Right.
So we went back and forth for like a month. Then they sent me a harness,
Right.
which was fine because I had Band-Aided it because Patrick said, go ahead and ride the bike. But it would just seem like it was going through E-Ride or Rev Ride to get to E-Ride seemed problematic because I'm waiting for somebody who's getting a ton of emails to email somebody else who's getting a ton of emails.
Oh, dude, and they are like that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Behind it all, like they're getting bombarded. I couldn't imagine. So, anyways, back to this will lead me into finishing my point is that I thought about starting that bike company, blah blah blah, got cracked out, and then like the thought of having to deal with warranty problems. Let's say you're selling 500 bikes a month. I'm assuming E-Ride's got to be in the 500 to 1,000 bike a month range. So you're selling 500 to 1,000 bikes a month. Month over month over month over month, and that compounds. How many bikes do you have on the street? Now, granted, you're selling 500 bikes. Let's just call it 500 bikes a month. So you're selling 6,000 bikes a year, and you've been doing it for how many years? And your warranty is a year long or whatever it is. Dude, could you imagine dealing with that? Like, how do you manage all, and like people just want to ride, but like,
I'm freaking without my bike.
Yeah, dude, like it sucks for sure. And like I have that same problem with customers. Like I want to do everything I can to get you your stuff, but like I can call them, but like I guarantee that person's probably busy and they're just going to say, I have to send everything over an email. I have to send all the documentation in email, and I have to wait for them to answer that email.
Yeah.
So like it kind of sucks, right? But to your point, like that's like the chain of command, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm in business management, so I understand that's how it works. And like with my warranty rate and stuff, like
Yeah.
if I 40 to 50% of my work per day is warranty.
Really?
I couldn't imagine if it was E-Ride.
Dude.
Like,
Dude, or any of these companies. What about
Yeah.
Suron, dude? Like
Yeah.
I don't even know how many bikes they're selling every month, but I guess the point being is like we definitely rabbit hole there, but that's why I wanted to have this conversation,
Mhm.
right? And I wanted to have it on camera because I think, we could go back and forth through text 1,000 times, so we
Yeah.
can just keep going back and forth, but I'm going to push the narrative of 3.0 Ultra B. Like, to me, there's just no better two bikes that you can have that cover all of your bases, but I get your point. Like,
Yeah.
you're looking at it from a different perspective,
Right.
and that makes sense.
And the 3.0 is the best all around bike in my opinion, because
Yeah, I
even
agree.
with the dual sport tire, the Shinko style tire, that tire's heavy.
Yeah.
But it's great.
It's so good.
Like when you were telling me about that, I'm like, I know,
Dude, it's a really
great.
good
It's just-
tire.
it just calmed my bike down way too much.
Really?
Yeah, when I went from the CSTs to the Shinkos originally on my black E-Ride,
Yeah.
I felt that it needed a gearing change.
Really?
You couldn't just throw those tires on because it almost like you needed to go up in the back sprocket to make it more violent again, give it more torque.
Yeah.
Because it was so heavy that
Was that 1821 or 1619 or just stock?
1919.
Really?
Yeah, 1919.
How many pounds do you think it added?
Over the CST a ton.
Really?
Yeah, man, that's a totally different bike.
Yeah.
It went from being like not planted to being like, oh, the E-Ride's kind of shaky.
Yeah, yeah.
So you put the Shinko on it, it's planted.
Really?
It really calms it
Yeah, I
down.
love them.
That's why the
freaking
3.0 is
love
so
them.
good. Yeah.
I love them. You know what? And I just started building my wife an S model,
Hmm.
and it's got similar tires. Dude, I love that little thing too. It's
Yeah.
it weighs. I don't know. I'm pulling this out of my ass, but like 130 pounds, maybe
Mhm.
something. 140 pounds. Like the 3.0 is probably like I should know all this stuff. 160, 170, maybe a little bit more. I don't know.
I think the SR I was looking today was 183.
Okay, so yeah, so we're probably in the same. I'm
Same,
probably
yeah.
somewhat right, but yeah, dude, just having that little tiny frame bike. But what we have coming is the RTRs, dude, and I know that dude, that bike is gonna be such a ripper.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many awesome videos about it already. I'm so
Gotta
stoked to
have
get
one.
ours. You have one?
I gotta have one.
Oh, so now
Yeah. I gotta have one.
exactly, bro. We get
Yeah.
into that.
Yeah, it's a whole nother
long-
world.
It's a long game. You got to play the long game with
Mhm.
yourself.
I'm ate up with it. I gotta have them all.
So what do you think, based on our conversation, it kind of sounds like you're leaning, I don't know where you're leaning. Where are you leaning? Like what do you think you're going to do when you walk out of here today?
My thing is I want to see what I can find an Ultra B for. I know
Okay.
that I can't get I can get an SR quicker
Well, yeah, for
from
sure.
you.
Yeah.
So, I think the first bike to buy is the SR
Okay.
because we have Ultra Bs. You race, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
race, so we've tried that. We know what the Cirrus Ultra B is. We don't know what an SR is with EXCs.
Or what is it going to be like with a Cirrus fork?
Yeah, well,
Dude.
it's going to be amazing because then you can
Dude.
really,
Because at that point,
yeah,
that may lead me down the path of narrowing it down to one Ultra B and selling an Ultra B, keeping one, putting Cirrus on it,
Mhm.
and then having the SR with Cirrus. I mean, I could see possibly having more fun on the SR with Cirrus at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
like rock gardens with the SR. Just
Yeah, because you just split your foot down.
put your foot down,
Yeah, you're not
or you jump off of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It-
And the fall from the top's not so damn far.
I will hit most stuff with
Yeah.
my E-Ride, but my Stark, I'm like, we'll try that a different
Yeah,
day.
exactly. I don't want to land on top of me, dude.
Or
I'm
have to
not
pick
getting
it
up.
up.
Yeah. Oh crap! I just thought of something too, and I wanted to mention it, but I totally forget now. Oh damn! What was it? It was something good. Oh yeah, this weekend. I know you haven't committed, so I'm just gonna nail you
All right, hit
down
me
right
with it, hit
now.
me.
So it's the Yellow Bush Off-Road Hard Scramble is what it's called.
Hard scramble.
I'm gonna send you this video, dude. Oh my god! So it's. I texted dude the other day. I'm like, hey man, so because I was just curious about battery range, and I said, hey, what's the distance of the race? And he was like, oh, it's only he's just like a good old boy, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, it's 12 miles. Should take you around 4 hours. I said.
Why would you tell me that?
And I told Co, I said, it's 12 out. It's 12 miles, bro. He's like, oh yeah, that'll be good, dude. I'm like, it's 4 hours long. He said, what? And then I'm talking to him out there, and he's like, "Well, I want to do the AB course." I'm like, "Oh my, like you can do the. I mean, I don't think you can, but if he wants to, I'm gonna send this to you right now, dude. Oh my god, you gotta watch this video when you have some time. It is so ridiculous how, and it's been wet. In this video from last year, it was dry.
So mad what it's gonna be like when it's
Oh
wet
my god,
and slick.
it's gonna be a shit show. A mud
What
fest.
tires do you run on your Stark?
The Scorpions. I have
Really?
never changed them, dude.
Me either. And
Yeah.
they're horrible.
They're not terrible.
See, mine are horrible in the woods, but I'm in the mud.
Yeah, I've never ridden my Stark in the woods, so I wouldn't know.
See, that was my woods. I've never been on a motocross track, and they don't do well. That's what I've always wondered if I need a new tire.
I'm sure you do. You would probably notice a big difference.
Because my Stark's bone stock. I
Yeah,
didn't
so
even
is
put the
mine.
titanium pegs on it or anything. I got them, but I didn't put them on.
Really,
I didn't see the need.
I got whatever pegs came on it. I got a gut seat cover. Nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah,
I haven't
mine's-
touched a single thing on that bike. That's a testament though, because and maybe that's another piece of this where, for the Stark, I'm less emotional. This sounds like a psychopath. I'm less emotionally attached to the bike
Mhm.
because I don't tinker with it.
Yeah.
Like I don't mess with it. Like I
There's-
wash it and I put the seat cover on it, but other than
There's
that,
no connection.
yeah, like I'm not like, oh man, so I wonder how this is going to feel. I wonder how that's going to feel like, because once you get into a bike for however much you paid for it, 10, 11, 12, $13,000, like I'm not really trying to mess with this thing. But if I buy a $6,500 bike, like,
Powertrain.
yeah. Yeah, like did you have any, you got Gen 2 or Gen 1?
So my bike was a Gen. So I bought them from Iron Pony.
Okay.
I bought a gray Gen 2.
Okay.
First ride at Wayne. I got it on a Friday. We took it to Wayne on a Saturday. And whenever I was coming down a hill to regen,
Yeah.
it would pop. I'd get up and it would like coast and shut off.
Oh man.
And it bricked on the side of the trail in Wayne. And I'm like, how do I get this thing out? It's heavy.
Yeah.
One of my buddies was on an MX5 and had an MX5 toolkit. So we started taking the plastic off.
Yeah.
And it was Torx bits with an MX5 toolkit. So it's Allen's.
Right.
So we barely got the plastics off this thing. We started to touch some wires and got it out of the woods.
Whew.
I called Iron Pony. They told me to bring it back. I took it to them. They gave me a new bike. But it was a Gen 1.
Have you had any issues with it?
I did. The
Really?
powertrain unit went out on it about a month ago.
My Gen 1's still rocking. How many miles you got on your Stark?
It was 255 and 25.1 hours.
Really? Okay, I only
Yeah.
got 140 on mine.
But what I did on mine is I ride mine on the street a lot.
Oh, okay.
So I was going 75 miles an hour when this happened. And I was going 75 because I was riding my son's baseball game. So I was cruising 75 for like 5 minutes. And then I got into the town where I live,
Yeah.
Baltimore, and I let off. And when I let off, it locked up. So like whenever you go to give a gas, the motor
Yeah.
was locked up. But if you let off, it would free roll. So I gathered it up, figured it out, and pulled it into like a parking lot.
Right.
Stark was amazing. Like communicating to the
Right.
bike, talking to me through it, sent me a powertrain unit. I decided to do it myself. The bike was down to like the front half, just like the fork and the skeleton.
The funny part is that photo popped up the other day.
Mhm.
Like of you, and like then I started looking at my bike. I'm like, damn, that is what the frame looks like.
Yeah,
But like put together, you couldn't imagine that.
you
it
would
just
never
looks
imagine
like
it's
this.
like that.
Yeah, like I don't know, is it aluminum or
Mhm.
I don't, whatever it is.
The
but
front frame's chromoly, then it goes into like
yeah,
it bolts to the powertrain unit, and the powertrain unit's like a bulkhead, and it goes from like it connects the front half to the back half.
Well, the funny part is like I have Gen 1 powertrain. I still have no issues. Knock on wood.
Well,
right?
most people online that have said they don't have issues like what you're saying,
Yeah.
they're motocross dudes.
Yeah.
Anybody that's had an issue, well, not anybody, but most people that have had the issues, we're talking about doing it like 60, 70 mile an hour.
Right.
They're street riding them. They're because they're probably getting too hot.
All right. Well, so we've gone, I think, about an hour. I think, I can't really see that, but I think it says like 8 minutes left on the memory card. So I think it was super helpful. I had fun. At the
Yeah,
end of
me
the day, I
too,
don't
man.
even
This
really
is- yeah,
give a
this is
shit
awesome.
if it was helpful or not. Like, I hope people got something out of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I think we were able to kind of talk through some of our problems that we
Yeah.
have. This is like therapy at the end of the day. I miss doing it. It's
I
fun
love
to
it.
get back into it again. I know it doesn't seem like the podcasts that everybody have seen, those have been recorded. And like I've moved back to Ohio. I have been on vacation. It's been like a month and a half since I sat down in front of a microphone. So but this is good. This should go up soon and we'll be able to talk about it. And I hope people enjoy it. If you guys have any questions, concerns, questions for Larry, whatever, just leave them in the comments. I will get to them every single morning like I always do. We have a lot of cool stuff coming. We are the new showroom at the shop, which you haven't seen yet. I put like the big I'll show you the picture real quick. I won't show anybody else. Oh man, it's a freaking banger.
I was so impressed when I pulled up to the shop the other day to ride the SR.
Look at it. Look at it.
Nice.
Look at, oh dude, it's gonna be so good. I'm making like the cool, but we're gonna do the podcast there, bro, with all that stuff in the background. It'll be really low
in
key,
there, yeah.
not in my office at home, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's yeah. So if you guys have questions or concerns or you have input for this, please leave us in there. If there's some things that you want us to talk about or you want to hear about, let us know. I do my best to get to these every single day in the morning, and I'm actually genuinely interested in the shit that you have to say. And I appreciate you if you stuck around this long. I appreciate you for sticking around this long. We will put a discount code, like always, in the description and the show notes, so you can save 5% on anything that you buy on the website. I'm not here to sell you parts or to sell you bikes. I'm here to just have a conversation. And if you do those things with us, great. If you do them with everybody else, that's totally cool too, as long as you get what you want. That's what's important. Larry, I'll see you at the Hard Scramble.
Yeah.
All right, dude, later.
Thanks for having me, man.